Assalamu alaikum. This is Abdul Qudus, President of Edifiers Activism, and today we are live on another episode of Youth Awakening series. And for this, we have a very special guest from Canada. Her name is Dr. Cynthia Journey, and she's a trainer, motivational speaker, and a freelance actress. And she's doing in this field for many years, and she has a vast experience in this. So, hello, Cynthia. How are you?
I am amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we can start this session.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we can start from your brief introduction. So you can tell our audience that how you started this journey and how you feel that and how was your experience.
Absolutely. I first of all, salam alaikum. I started. I started off as a person that just wanted to help humanity. I noticed that I had a huge propensity. I would feel people's pain when I walked into a room, and I knew that there was something different about me. And that prompted me to go into an inward, onward, and upward journey. And what I mean by that is I ended up going into social work, thinking that I would be able to serve the homeless. I wanted to help the people that nobody else wanted to help. And after spending over a decade in the field, I realized that it was very taxing, and I was pouring into these people, and a lot of them had given up on life. And that prompted me to turn it over to a higher power and ask for guidance. And later that day, actually, it was the next day, I ended up going and seeing the homeless again and was told by them, "Why are you with us? You should be in Hollywood." And I was like, that is a really weird thing to hear. I never expected to hear that. So then I ended up doing all the other things because I thought that advice is very strange. I don't know about that. But you know what? I realized that in my life, that even when I was in Guyana doing humanitarian work, post-Hurricane Katrina, wherever I happened to be, there was always a video camera, and they're like, "What are you doing here? Tell us about your journey." And I was like, okay, I do see that the camera keeps following me around. Maybe there's something to this. So I decided to throw my hat in and go and apply for an audition. And I ended up getting the role, and it was broadcast all across North America, so the Canada, US, and it was the Golden Touch Steam Mop, and I loved it. They were like, act like you don't like housework. And I was like, this isn't acting for me. I feel like, wow. And I had a lot of fun doing it. And, that's the nature of that, how it works is that you're given gifts, and often you don't even know how you got them, because a lot of people go to school for them and all these things, but they are God-given. And so I discovered this gift and was compelled to do something with it that prompted me to keep going and move forward. I did, of course, encounter a lot of people that said, "Oh, that was just luck. You can't make a living this way." So then I was doing the other things on the side. But I realized is that if you have a side gig, then you're cheating on your real dream, right? So just go full throttle if you can. At this point, it was very kind of dodgy. I was going up and down in income levels, trying to figure it out. And finally, when you're hungry for it, when you just want it so bad, nothing will stop you. And that's the thing. It's about persisting without exception. And I ended up just going for it, all the way. And it opened up for me. I ended up getting like major roles. I ended up in Hollywood at the Emmys, like just incredible opportunities. And from there, I ended up springboarding into the speaking world, because people were like, "Oh my gosh, this story is so interesting." And next thing I knew, I was doing speaking competitions and winning awards that way, and then writing a book, and then having that be an international bestseller. So it's been an amazing journey, and it's all about the process of self-discovery. I realized that it all comes down to knowing yourself, and as you get to know yourself, that's when life opens up. So that's a bit about me.
Okay, that's very impressive. So how can we work on our self-discovery?
Absolutely. Great question. I would say that it really comes down. They say the root of all man's suffering lies in not being able to sit in a room by oneself. And what I mean by that is when we are in those quiet moments. A lot of us, when we're stuck, for example, with the pandemic, a lot of us have been relegated to staying home. And for a lot of people, that's torture. It's like solitary confinement is the worst prison sentence you could possibly have. But that means to me that you're probably in bad company. And if it's just you, then what does that say? So I would say absolutely start making friends with yourself first. Because if you don't like yourself, chances are anyone you're around won't like you either. So it's really about resolving this relationship with self, being able to look in your own eyes. I recommend people do like mirror work, or just, have that quiet time where you're just with your thoughts, and eventually your thoughts will disappear and you're just there and you're just enjoying being, because that's what we are. We're human beings, not human doings, not human thinkings. We're human beings. Just be. And as you can become and just let everything fall to the wayside and just be in those quiet moments of stillness, that's where true peace, that's where true bliss comes from. And I think so often we try to fill all of our time, every quiet moment. Oh, I need to go out. I need to do this. I need to do that. But when you're just alone and being, without doing anything, without needing anything, that is the true art of existence.
Okay, so you have a wonderful journey, and is there any challenges you faced in that period?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would say, first of all, financially, it was a very difficult time, because when you are an artist, when you're an entrepreneur and you're chasing after your dreams, there is a predictable road you can go down. You can go down the job, just over broke, jump out of bed, whatever you want to call it. And that is the more predictable way, because at least then you know you're getting a stable paycheck and all these things. But the minute you break away from the norm and you start engineering your own field and pioneering your way in the world, it becomes very dodgy. So I found that there were times where I was absolutely like hungry with no place to really go for food. Like I was just, I didn't want to ask for handouts. I'm not that kind of person. I'm very, like, I don't ask for help. And so it was a humbling moment, because I had to ask for help. Like we get to those moments where we have to, disarm and just ask for that assistance, and it can be a beautiful experience, but it was definitely very challenging. Another challenge that I had was in my marriage. Because I had not cultivated a loving relationship with myself, I was attracting people into my life that didn't value me either, because whatever we think of ourselves is what we attract. And because I had a very low self-worth, I mean, one of the things that I didn't realize at the time is the reason I was so drawn to working with the homeless people is that I felt at their level. I'm like, I'm unloved, I'm unwanted, I'm human, discard trash. Like I just had such a low opinion of myself, that's what I attracted. And so we have to watch our thoughts. And so for me, with all of this internal dialogue being very, very negative and like basically, detaching me from my divinity, not realizing that I am a miracle, as are you, as are the viewers. I had disassociated myself with that divine light and was living in darkness, was living in pain, was living in suffering, self-inflicted. And so I ended up attracting, these kind of relationships. And in my marriage, I was not happy. And of course, if one person isn't happy in the marriage, the other person isn't happy. So I had to come into this place where I had to detach and move away from a marriage, which is not something that is culturally approved of. And it was something that I had to wrestle with. But at the end, it's our life to live. And it's about choosing to be happy. It's about choosing to love yourself first, because when you put out that vibration that I choose love, I choose to love myself, and then that love will pour over, and everyone that comes into your vicinity is going to feel that love. And that's what started happening as I started making better choices for myself, started choosing to love myself. Everyone was affected by that. But most importantly, I was making better decisions for me. I was making, strides towards improving myself. And as we heal ourselves, we heal everyone around us.
Okay, so that's very great. So let's move forward to our today's topic. So how you define the miracle is existence,
Absolutely. The miracle of
the
existence.
existence of miracle. Yeah.
I would say that the miracle of existence is us, that every encounter is a holy encounter, that as we step into our greatness and we start realizing that you beat out 250 million competitors just by coming into this world, like all those sperm floating around, you won, you were born a winner. And I think that a lot of times we forget about that. We forget about the fact that we are winners, that we do have all of this miracle of existence that exists within us, that our body is so miraculous. Like we are breathing without even thinking about it. We're able to take these walks after falling on our face so many times as children. And look at us now. We're walking, we're jumping, we're able to go up staircases. This is all very complex stuff. Whatever we think, whatever we do becomes us. So for example, like so many of us are like totally distracted by these phones and we think that's the greatest thing on earth. Wow. You know, and we forget about the fact that that's like, that was created from this, you know, and this is the ultimate, you know, and we forget about how miraculous we are and how amazing we are. For example, whatever you eat becomes you. So if I eat a piece of bread, it becomes me. If we were to hear about on a commercial, for example, that you could put a piece of bread into a phone and it became the phone, the whole world would go crazy. Like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. What an incredible thing. But we don't think about the fact that that's us, that we are the miracle. Like we should be celebrating ourselves and just relishing every moment. That's what the miracle of existence is. Having that enthusiasm for life, appreciating this gift that we've been given. Like we are so lucky to be alive and we are so fortunate to have the experiences we have and recognizing the power that we have. Whatever we're thinking about, we're bringing about. And so many people don't realize that they're creating their own lives. By every decision you make your life. And every decision you don't make, you make your life. So if you don't like the way you're going, that's okay. You have the opportunity, the ability to completely change directions. It's so incredible the power we have. We are derived from the creator and we are creators. And people forget that they're a masterpiece because they have a piece of the master within them.
So, Cynthia, we all have the quality of sympathy, but how can we develop the quality of empathy?
Absolutely. I would say as you come into the thought process of yourself being a miracle, that you are a child of God, you can start seeing the eyes of God in every person you meet. The thing is that when we start appreciating what a miracle we are and how incredible we are just to be alive and fortunate to be blessed in this moment of existence, you start recognizing that every person is in the same position, that you are my brother, you are my sister, you are my friend. We are all interconnected. We are one. And the thing is that everything that happens in our life happens inside of us. So, for example, if you love somebody, you can love them whether they're with you, whether they're not with you, whether they're here in the same country, whether they're in another country, whether you've never met them before. If they've passed on to another planet, like another world, whatever you believe, you can still love them. And that's the thing is that, and you can hate somebody the same way. Everything happens inside of you. And so once you realize that, once you have that love inside of yourself for yourself, and you start recognizing that everything is a choice, you can choose to be love. And when you choose to be love, and when you choose to have that state of peace and that wisdom and that stillness, then it just naturally happens. It's not something that you have to do. It's something that you are. So the key to life is to let go and to break down all of the barriers you've created to love. So, for example, a lot of us are going around and with the protests that are happening, these lives matter, all lives matter, because we are all God's children.
Yeah.
And as you start accepting and realizing the magnificence of existence and the magnificence of your life, that it allows you to transmute that, and to have everybody that comes into contact with you is going to feel that love, that appreciation for life. And you can't help but love them because you're so full of love. It's overflowing. It's just like, wow, I'm so, like, I found that as I started appreciating myself and truly loving life and being so grateful for existence, that everyone that came in contact with me, they're like, why are you so happy? And I don't need a reason to be happy. I just am. Why are you so loving? I don't need a reason to love. I just love. Because as you remove the barriers you've put on yourself, as you start realizing it's not about race, it's not about culture, it's not about religion, it's nothing. It's just that we are love and we love. And as you come into connection with that and recognizing that everyone is an extension of you, that even your enemies are here to teach you something, your friends are here to teach you something, that you don't have to hate. Hating takes so much energy. You don't have to hold on to guilt. Guilt is not about, you're not supposed to feel guilty. You learn the lesson and you release it. And as you learn these lessons, as you come out of these painful experiences, you can become wiser, recognizing we're all under construction. Nobody is perfect. And when you realize you're not perfect and that everybody like you has a journey to go through, it allows you to see the common humanity in all of us. Let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. We've all sinned. But we've also all done great things. We all have greatness within us. And it's just about changing your paradigm and seeing the miracle in every one of us, seeing that we're all God's children, seeing that we're all love. That's where empathy comes from.
Okay, so as you know that this pandemic situation hit us very hard, and all the people who survived, and they thought that why us? So how can you say that if you are suffering this because of your sins or something like that, but you survived that? That's the main thing, and that's a miracle. So how? What's your opinion on this?
I would say that the pandemic is not about, I think that all suffering is self-inflicted. When you really look at it, the pandemic is happening. Whether or not it's happening is irrelevant. It's how you choose to accept it. So we have things that happen in our lives that are outside of our control. If there is, a situation where somebody close to us passes on, we can choose to hold on to that pain and destroy our lives. And I've seen it, 30 years later, they're still grieving the loss of their mother. Or you can choose to accept what is. Things happen. We decide if it's bad or good. There is the fragility of life. We're all here temporarily. Whenever we go, we go. We decide how we choose to respond to events. The pandemic is not within our control. Even if you want to stop it, you can't. It is what it is. So it's now about how can I live the best life possible? How can I make my existence the best it can possibly be? And when we start turning our attention outwards, we're no longer looking at reasons why we should be suffering. Oh, this is horrible. I have so many reasons to be miserable. And every time we turn on the news, you're confronted with fear, you're confronted with misery, you're confronted with the fragility of life, of all the horrible things happening. I don't watch the news. I have chosen not to watch the news. I am informed, but I'm not inundated. You can choose to guard this because this is prime real estate, my friends. And so often we accumulate all of these things that are so negative that they destroy our spirit. And it's so important that you start lifting up your spirit. You start doing things that help to bring you upward. We all have this ability. We don't have the ability to control the pandemic, but we can control how we respond to it. Take the precaution, wear the mask, go out, keep your distance, but that doesn't mean that you stop living. It doesn't mean that you stop reaching out to the people that you love the most. It doesn't mean that you stop being a good person. And if you see someone without a smile, you give them one of yours. You hold open the door for someone. You do things that are still beautiful and loving. It doesn't mean you have to stop living. It just means a shift in your direction. Now it allows us to go inside. If we can't go outside, we can go inside. And I think that this is an opportunity for growth. I've seen a lot of great things that have happened because of the pandemic. How are you choosing to look at it? If you look at it as, oh, it's horrible, everyone's dying, all these horrible things are happening, then you're going to make yourself miserable. Or you can look at the miracles. I had a friend that was in a coma and they thought he was going to die, and he came out of it. And he's now appreciating life so much more. I have people now that were like, you know what, I never really appreciated how fragile things are. Like, people around me are dying. Now I want to spend all this quality time I can with people that I care about. It's about taking the time to do things that are important, that matter, about appreciating every moment we have on this earth, because it's limited. And we are here for a mission, to love and be loved. And as you do those two things, you'll find that your whole world transforms, and that you no longer have to suffer, that the suffering is self-inflicted. You can choose to love life. You can choose to see the positives in every situation. Because right now, if you are depressed, you made that choice. You chose to be depressed. You have trained yourself to look at all the bad things in life. And just as you do that, you can change now, and you can decide, I choose to be happy. I choose to see only the positive things in life. And it's not saying that you're not going to acknowledge that bad things happen. It's that you choose to see the positives in every situation. We have the power of choice, and we're the only beings in the world that has that power. Choose it wisely.
Okay. Cynthia, many people think that they are unlucky. So what's your message to them?
I would say that whatever you believe, you're right. So if you believe you're unlucky, you are going to go on a thinking spree, and you're going to find every reason why you're unlucky. Oh yeah, this always happens. This always happens. This always happens. But if you go around and you change your direction, and you just make a decision, and you say, you know what? I'm too blessed to be stressed. You are going to find reasons to feel that you're too blessed to be stressed. The more you count your blessings, the more blessings you have to count. So whatever you choose to believe, you're right. And the thing is that our imagination is so powerful. Whatever you think about, you bring about. So if you're going to think that, oh my gosh, you know, I have so many reasons to be unhappy, I am so unlucky, all these horrible things always happen to me, you are going into a fear state. And all of these bad things, you're going to attract them, because that's the law of attraction. That's how it works. Similarly, you can go and you can tap into this magnificent prime real estate and go into a place of faith. And you can go into it and say, you know what? I am blessed. I have so many reasons. I am fortunate. Luck is something like you roll a dice. Fortune is different, because that is something that you can work towards, and good things happen to you, and it's more in control. So I would say, choose your words wisely, choose your beliefs wisely, because the thing is, we are limitless beings. We come into this world and we have like a costume that we rent. Like, mine happens to be this costume here. You have that costume. Amazing. But we're all souls. We're all limitless. So whatever you choose to believe, you're putting limits on yourself. So make sure that what you choose is very careful, because if you go around, for example, thinking you're unlucky, you're going to find every reason to believe you're unlucky. Your brain goes into overdrive, and it's going to be like, oh yeah, remember when this happened when you were 5? And remember, oh yeah, this is going to happen. Oh, you're going to get in a car accident. Oh, this and that and that. And you will create that reality. So that's why I say to you, be very cautious with what you choose to believe. You are setting, if you want to know what your future is going to be, listen to your words. Listen to what you're prophesizing, because this right here, this voice, this impact that you're having is creating your future. So that's why it's so important to be very careful with what you cultivate in your garden. I say it's a garden of gratitude in mine. I plant seeds of happiness, of blessings, of growth, of gratitude. And I get more of that. It flourishes, it grows, because there's so many reasons to be grateful. I could be just as easily going around saying, oh, life sucks. If the world didn't suck, we'd all fall off, and all these horrible things. But I choose not to. Whatever you choose to believe, you are right. So make sure that you make a decision that serves you rather than brings you down. Oh, I think we're frozen. See, there's so much energy here that we're freezing. But I would say absolutely. It's all about that. Whatever you put out to the world, you get back. Whatever you think about, you bring about. So just be so careful, my friends. What you read, what you take in, all of that becomes you. And everything that you bring out and you say and you think about will in fact happen. So be very careful. You want to create the life you want. If you notice some of the
Okay, Cynthia, as you talk,
we are frozen.
hey Cynthia, I'm saying that I came to know that you are a very positive person. So how can we develop that kind of positivity in our mindset?
I would say that it's like a muscle. And when you go to work out, for example, and you want to get abs, you can't just work out one time and be like, oh, I have a six pack now. I did a bunch of sit ups. And no, it doesn't work like that. You have to practice. You have to do it all the time, every day. It's something you have to train yourself. And then you develop what's called muscle memory. Well, the same thing is true for your mind. Whatever you practice is what becomes you. So if you want to practice gratitude and positivity, it's about anchoring yourself in those kind of emotions. So what I ask people to do often with neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is to tap into the times in their life where they were most happy. And if you do that every morning and you just think to yourself of like the happiest moments in your life, and you just visualize that, you will bring a different sensation in your body. You're going to notice that you hold yourself differently, that you talk differently, that you have a different way of being because you're feeling this immense state of gratitude, of pride, of true happiness. This is what it's all about. Similarly, some people write in a gratitude journal and they take time to like write down all the things that they're so happy about, that they're so grateful for. Or you can spend time if you have like a morning ritual where you want to like go and take a bubble bath because that makes you feel good, or go for a dancing or singing. Whatever brings you joy is what will help to transform your paradigm. Do that first thing in the morning and first thing just before bed, because those are the times where your mind is most susceptible, and you're going to find that it's going to create a nice sleeping state and a nice waking state. And it's all about anchoring ourselves in those emotions. And as you find yourself throughout the day, if you feel like you're going down, you're getting depressed, things are happening, people around us are very negative, then do something that brings you that joy. Whether it's, I find that what I do is I will actually just take a moment and be like, wow, I'm alive. I opened my eyes this morning. That's amazing. 1 million people didn't wake up this morning. Like, I have different things that I'll think about to bring about a different state. There are reasons when you start feeling yourself going low, as you start practicing this gratitude every day, it becomes a ritual. You actually start catching yourself when you feel negative, and you know that that's not true, because your true state, my friends, is bliss. It's love. That's what we are naturally. The only thing that's happened is that as we've grown up, we've taken on all these negative emotions. We're like, oh, I'm not good enough. And that was because at some point as a child, we made a decision that we weren't good enough. And usually it comes from, how kids are really happy and they're rambunctious and they're running around and they're like, yay! And they're playing and they're all happy. And that's how kids are. And what do parents do? Shh, be quiet. Go tidy up, and as kids, we're very loud, we're very messy. These are the kind of things that kids do. And when we get told by our parents, you gotta keep quiet, you gotta be clean, all these things, we start making decisions as children. I'm not good enough. I'm doing something wrong. There's something wrong with me. These are all things that happen to us that make us feel negative. So if we can like go back into those times and realize, you know what? Our parents were doing the best they could. They were raised the same way. That's what parents want. They want quiet, orderly kids. But they never get it because there's no such thing. Kids are kids. They're just like happy. They're like, hey, I'm going to go play with anyone. I just want to have fun because that's what kids do. And if we start sloughing off this nonsense that we've decided as children that we're not good enough, that we're not, somehow not measuring up, then we can start tapping into our inner kid again, and you can't help but be happy because you're just like, yay, life is exciting. There's so many fun things to do. And people are always like, you're like a giant kid. And I think that that is the best compliment ever because you know what? If you can tap into your child and you can do something that makes you feel like a kid again, do that. And who cares what they think? Because you know what? Be careful whose opinions, whose ideas, whose advice you're taking. Are you trying to take happy advice from someone who's miserable? Are you trying to take wealth advice from someone who's broke? You need to be very careful with who you listen to and who you allow to affect head office.
Okay, so many people are stressed nowadays, and due to the destructive criticism, they start hating themselves. So how can they overcome from these kind of things?
I would say that it comes down to renovating head office. So when you have a head office and you have certain people in charge, there are people that are going to be on your team and going to be like, yay, go for it. You can do this. And then there are also going to be the people that are like, maybe you had like a really bad teacher or a really negative mom or something like that. And they're always coming down on you. It's about saying to yourself, is this advice serving me? Like, am I able to be as limitless as I want to be? Because there are certain people that are going to try to clip your wings. That's the nature of people. If they're miserable, hurt people. That's how it happens. If you're a happy person, you're not going to try to tear someone down. You're too busy being happy. But most people are not happy. They're miserable. And if they see happiness, it's like an insult to them. They're like, I better go out of my way to make this person as miserable as I am because I don't like it. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's their stuff. You don't have to let that affect you. You can guard your head office. And I would say if you can't find people in the living world, and that's what I found. I was going through this negative, like bad period that I talked about, like with my marriage, for example. Everyone around me was toxic. So I was like, how do I get past this? So I started listening to YouTube University. That's right. You can find a lot of really great advice and wisdom online that won't cost you a dime. So I started listening to I read Osho. I started listening to Sadhguru. I was just filling myself with positive, amazing, miracle of existence stuff where I was just like, we are awesome. I can do this. I don't need to listen to all these negative people. Like photography, we can develop from the negatives. And what happened is as I started brainwashing myself, because really that's what you're doing. You're washing your brain out of all the negativity out there. And I'm like, I needed some major soap scrubbing here because I'm like, there is so much negativity. I'm like, wow. How they say, sometimes that you have a family tree. Well, I had more like a family cactus. It was full of, we're going to keep this PG. But you know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes you end up finding that people, and not to say my biological family, I'm just talking about the human family as a whole. I found that I was just attracting the wrong people because my mindset wasn't good yet. But as I started listening to people that inspired me, that lit me up inside, I found I was shifting my reality. And that's when shift happens. And you can transform your trauma. You can turn your story into your glory. You can actually find taking a staircase. Faith is all about taking that first step, even if you don't see the full staircase. And what happened is that it started inspiring people along the way. They're like, wow, I'm in a bad relationship too. You did that? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, come join me. We can do this together. And you start inspiring and lifting people's hopes. You're not going through this for you. I think too many of us are like looking at it like from the situation like, why does this keep happening to me? Well, you know what? It's about your mindset, but recognizing that maybe it's not about you at all. Maybe it's about helping other people that are going through something, because we're all reflections of each other. So if you're having this problem, chances are someone else you know is having that problem, and someone else they know is having that problem. And as you get through it and you find the solution to have a more fulfilling life, you can inspire the masses and teach the classes. That's what it's all about, folks. You can transform your trauma and make it become a part of you that makes you stronger and wiser.
Okay, Cynthia, you are so much energetic, and what's the secret behind this?
I would say I have enthusiasm and inspiration. And enthusiasm, it comes from that bliss of loving life and just appreciating. I appreciate everything, all the bad times, all the good times, because they've made me into who I am. Like if it wasn't for the suffering, I wouldn't know compassion. If it wasn't for the pain, I wouldn't know pleasure. You know, everything happens for a reason, and that's duality. And the reason is there to serve us. So I can either look at it as like, oh, this sucks, everything's happening to me. Or I can look at it as building blocks to my character. And I choose to look at it as building blocks. It's something that's making me stronger, whole, complete. Like silver, we're being refined. And the story of the silver being refined is that one day a woman went to the silversmith and she noticed that he was holding the silver over the fire. And she was like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I have to refine it. She's like, well, how do you know when you've gone too far? He says, I know it's complete when I can see my reflection in it. And the thing is just like that, we are created in God's image. And as we go through these experiences, we are being refined. And as we start stepping into our greatness and realizing our divinity, we start showing the true face. It's not about wearing masks. And no, I'm not talking about pandemic masks. I'm talking about the persona that we create. Persona comes from the Greek word, which means fake face, like what actors used to do. They used to put on a false sense of self to entertain people. But that's what we do. We go through our lives and we pretend. We put on a smile when we're feeling awful. We say to people we feel great when in reality we feel lousy. And the only time we're real is when we're in the bathroom and nobody's around. Well, I would say to you, my friends, is that if you can't be real with other people, then you are actually hurting yourself. That it's about time. It's time to take off the mask, not the physical. I'm not talking about the pandemic mask. We need that for protection. But I'm talking about in terms of being real, being authentic. As you stop pretending and just start being. You know what? If you're having a lousy day, you're having a lousy day. So be it. Allow it to go through. And that's what I started doing. That started creating all this bliss because I was like, I don't have to pretend anymore. If people don't like me, oh, well. And if people do, cool. It's fine because it's not about me at all. So it's like when we break our leg, we know that we need a certain amount of time to heal. Well, when we're going through psychological stuff and there's painful moments, the same thing. We need time to heal. And it's not about rushing and saying, I'm great, when in reality you're miserable. It's about taking the time to heal those psychological wounds as well. And the people that are meant to be in your life during that time will be there. And the ones that aren't, so be it. It's up to them. It's up to you. And just recognize that whatever you're brought to, you can get through. Just have faith in yourself. Believe in yourself. And that's where my inspiration comes from, because I have faith. I have faith that there is a wonderful creator that has made me and that has made all of us. And I have so much faith and just love overflowing for that. Inspiration means in spirit. You're in line with the divine. You're just allowing it to flow through you and be grateful. And that's our true nature. It's about sloughing off all the stuff that doesn't serve you. If reading the newspaper doesn't bring you joy, don't do it. If watching the news doesn't bring you joy, don't do it. Yes, you can be informed. You can take the headlines in, but don't spend so many hours. Recognize that whatever you do becomes you. So it's about bringing stuff to you that lifts your spirit and fills you with joy. And that, my friends, is what the art of living is all about.
Okay, so there's a question from our audience. Malaika Salim is saying that. What makes you think miracles happen?
Ooh, I would say I think that miracles happen because I recognize that I'm a miracle, that you're a miracle. The very fact that you beat out 250 million sperm to even ask that question is a miracle. The fact that you're breathing on your own is a miracle. The fact that birds are chirping is a miracle. The fact that we're here, we woke up this morning is a miracle. The more you recognize that life is a miracle, the more you'll start to see miracles in every situation. Everything that has happened in this world, it can be, you can look at it as a curse or you can look at it as a blessing. I see the miracle of existence because I recognize that we beat the odds just by coming into this world. We beat the odds. All those other sperm, are you kidding me? We are winners. And that, my friend, is a miracle. So when you acknowledge miracles and you expect miracles, miracles show up. And they show up in every way, every day.
Okay, Cynthia, how can we adopt the habit of appreciating and acknowledging the others?
I would say that it really comes down to having those moments of silence, of just appreciating nature. I mean, I think that when you are in those moments where you're alone, a lot of times what will happen is we'll start being trapped by our thoughts and we'll allow all these negative thoughts to come through our mind and just take us over. But you can treat them almost like they're balloons and they're coming and then they lift off and you don't have to attach yourself to them. Just like your emotions, when you have anger, when you have happiness, you can just let them flow through you and recognize that there is a part of you that is pure consciousness. That's the part of you that is able to be, when you're dreaming and you know you're dreaming, the lucid state, that's your consciousness. And that is a part of you that is limitless. And when you start stepping outside of yourself and recognizing that all of this world is but an illusion, that we are actually in charge of what we do, of what we think, of how we create our lives, then once you start realizing that, you realize, okay, well, with these powers, I can choose to transform my life into one of very positive. I choose to be happy. I choose to be loved. I choose to just be. When you drop all the pretenses, all the paradigms, oh, life is hard. How do you define life? I would say that start there. How do you define life? If you look at life as a struggle, then you're going to find reasons for feeling negative. Everything is a battle. You're always fighting. You're fighting with somebody else. You're fighting with yourself. But I look at life as a game. Life is a game. I'm enjoying it's like a fun, roller coaster. Like you go around and there's ups and downs, there's twists and turns. And, you get in line and sometimes you have to wait and it's really quick sometimes. But, I enjoy it. How are you defining life? How are you defining anything? Like if you have a constantly negative mindset where you just expect bad things to happen, bad things will keep happening. So ask yourself, how am I creating this? What am I doing or thinking or saying that is creating these negative things? Because if you are inspired right now and you're listening to this and you're like, I want to have a different kind of life, these are amazing suggestions that you can implement. And I heard them just like you did. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to try something new because this isn't working for me. I don't want to suffer anymore. I don't want to have a pill for every ill. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to suffer anymore. And I chose different. And that's the beauty of it, is that at any moment you can choose different.
Okay, so is there any meditation techniques which helps us to build the positive mindset and to start appreciating others?
I would say that there is something called the loving kindness meditation, and it's something that I bring people through. And it's a process whereby you are first tapping into that neuro-linguistic programming. So you're tapping into that feeling of love that you have for your loved one. So maybe it's your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, anyone you're really close to that you love dearly, your fiance, your husband, your wife, whatever it happens to be. Once you tap into that and you feel that gratitude, just sit in that beautiful sensation. And then you extend it and you start thinking about people that you just see, that you don't even know. You've never talked to them before. And you give them the same feeling. It's something you can actually orchestrate from your mind, your heart, to send to them. I've actually started doing it in my living state, in my waking state, where I'll just look at somebody that I don't even know, and I'm like, I'm sending them love. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you love. And it's amazing because everything is energy. They can feel it. And as you start giving that out, it comes back to you. And that's something you can practice in your waking state, in your sleeping state, in your meditative state. I would say just be the love. Focus on love. I think too much of our attention is here. We think everything we have to do is through our mind. Oh, I have to think this out. Think this out. No, this can cause mental health problems. There's too much stuff going in here. Come to your heart. Your heart is the wisdom center. That should be the place where you do everything. You make all your decisions. You feel it in your heart. Does this feel right? Your gut, does this feel right? Is this something that I should be doing? Because your heart wisdom is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And if you follow your heart and you just do what's right, what feels right, what is in you to give, then you won't be led astray. You are going to live a life of purpose, on purpose. Just be the love. That is the answer. As you start tapping into, how can this help someone? How can I be of service? When you ask yourself those two questions and you come from that place, you'll find your whole life will transform.
Okay, Cynthia, how can we ignore the bad things and we can focus on the good things happening in our life?
I think that question right there reveals something about the mindset. It's not about ignoring what happens to you. It's about accepting what happens to you and recognizing that things happen. We decide whether they're bad or they're good. That's a decision we make. If you look at everything as a lesson, okay, so what am I supposed to learn from this? And then you take that approach, you're going to find that you start separating the emotion from it and you're able to start gathering it intellectually. Okay, so I learned that by walking through the alley that night, that was a bad idea. So in the future, I'm going to be smarter and avoid the alley. So it's about taking the lesson, bringing that into your mind so that you learn from it and moving forward powerfully. Don't ignore it. Learn from it. And as you learn from it, take the lesson and drop the rest of it. The other stuff is not going to serve you. Just hand it over. I always say to people, hand it over to the Lord and you walk free. It's not yours to carry. Don't carry the baggage. It's not yours to carry. Take the lesson, give the rest up to the Lord, and you walk free.
Okay, that's very good. So there's one more question from our audience, and Ms. Zuha Ahmed is saying that how can we boost our level of energy regarding our thoughts and implementing it?
Boosting your energy through thoughts. Well, I would say that your thoughts are energy on their own. Boost your energy through your thoughts. I'm not exactly sure this question. I'm going to try to answer it the best I can, but more information would be great. Okay. Please let me know. Yeah. So I would say that for me, energy is all about gratitude. That's where I derive my energy from. I derive it from loving and grateful thoughts. And when I tap into that love and gratitude, the energy supply is endless. Like I just find it's pouring into me because that's our true divinity state. We are loved and we are loved. And so as you start tapping into that source of energy that is just sheer bliss, you will find that you will have an endless supply of energy, and that the thoughts that come from that gratitude, from that love, are absolutely tantamount. Like that is going to drive you. That's going to propel you forward. You're going to start recognizing that everything is a blessing, everything is love, and that you can absolutely just continue on and find, as you start counting your blessings, you're going to have more blessings to count. Like it's just, they're just going to keep coming. You're going to find more reasons to be grateful, because whatever you focus on expands. So if you're somebody that constantly looks at life as a really difficult journey and you're going through all of these horrible times, you're going to find reasons why you hate, you hate getting up in the morning. You hate life. There's no purpose for you. You're just taking up space. But if you look at it as, I'm here for a reason, and that reason is there to serve others, and I just want to do whatever I can to help humanity, whatever your why is, whatever your reason for, what makes you passionate, what do you want to accomplish in your life? Maybe you're somebody that gets really heartbroken about the suffering of animals. You want to do something to help animals, then that becomes your driving force. And you're going to find so much energy, so much passion that propels you forward, that every day you're like, I'm going to do something to help another animal. I'm going to talk about these animals. I'm going to love these animals. I'm going to show people how amazing they are to have in your life. You're going to find reasons and a purpose bigger than you. I think it's about expanding your vision and realizing it's not about us at all. It's about others. It's about what we can do for others, whether it's the environment, animals, the planet, whatever it happens to be. It's just about recognizing it's bigger than you. Helping somebody else who's in worse condition than you will help to get you out of your ruts and help you bring about more energy, more passion, more drive.
Okay, so how can we adopt the habit of prouding ourselves on the things we have in our life?
Can you repeat the question?
I'm saying that how we can start proud on the things we have.
Oh, okay. Yes, absolutely. The element of pride for what you have. I think it comes down, there's a Sikh custom where they actually spend every morning, they thank the creator for the tip of their head all the way to the bottom of their feet. And they go through this process of like meditating on every part of their body. And how beautiful is that? Imagine every morning you're waking up and you're full of gratitude. Like, thank you for this vessel that I have. Thank you for the ability to walk. Thank you for the ability to breathe. Thank you for the ability to see. Thank you for the ability to hear. Like all of these amazing senses that we have that we take for granted. And I think that, if we're having difficulty recognizing, what we have to be proud of, then it's about helping somebody who's less fortunate than us and recognizing that as bad as things are for us, we still have the ability to help someone else who's in an even worse situation. I also think there's something to be said for keeping a record of your accomplishments. As you start accomplishing something, maybe it's just as simple as I held open the door for someone today and they were really touched by that. And you write that down, make note of it, put it in a box, put it in a journal, whatever it happens to be. And that way, when you're having a really rough day and you go into that box or you read that journal, it brings you right back to that vibration. And that can be tremendously powerful. Start a gratitude circle. Now with the pandemic, more and more people are joining on Zoom or StreamYard, these amazing platforms, and you can do it across the world. Look at us. So I would say you can start a gratitude circle where you find, people across the world and people can share their experiences with what they're going through. And that can help you to realize how amazing it is what you have. And you can help each other because we're all reflections of each other. We see in others what we have in ourselves. We hate in others what we have in ourselves. So it's just about recognizing this balance, this exchange, and truly coming to that place of, wow, like I'm doing a great service to humanity. Start doing things every day for yourself. I would say that, a lot of us, we go into relationships and we're doing things for everyone else. If you're a struggling mom out there, you're doing all these things for your children. But what about you? If you're, just freshly married, a man that's going to work every day to provide for his family, which is great. But what about you? I would say start doing things every day that bring you joy. Start investing in yourself, because at the end of the day, we come into this world alone and we leave alone. And it's about living the life we want. Start doing things that make you happy, even if it's just 10 minutes a day and you're reading your favorite book, you're going for a walk in nature, you're spending time, traveling, whatever it happens to be. You just want to do something for you that brings you joy. And those moments will help to propel you into a state of gratitude and feeling good about what you're doing.
Okay, so there's few people who are suffering from the severe depression, and they start losing hope, and they they want to quit the living. So how can they overcome from these kind of things, and the people who are suffering from the suicidal thoughts? So what's your opinion for that, and how can they overcome?
I would say to you, my friends, you are not your thoughts. And there's a reason why you're watching this right now, because even though as much as you are depressed, there's a part of you that wants to live. You don't believe me? Try holding your nose. Just hold your nose for like as long as you possibly can. You're going to find that naturally your body is fighting for air. Oh my gosh. Because that is the nature of our body. We want to live. We want to excel.
Yeah.
We want to go through this. Try plugging your nose underwater. Same thing. The thing is that we naturally are fighting for survival. And as much as your mind is working against you, I would say start training it to read and take in new ideas. If you find that you're somebody that listens to like heavy metal all the time, I noticed I used to listen to a lot of heavy metal and it was really affecting my state. I was like angry. I'm like, no, you know what? This isn't working. So I changed the music. Something as simple as changing the music, or like start eating comfort food. You know, like I find that I love things like mac and cheese. As silly as it is, I love it, and I'll eat it and I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's so good. So I would say just start doing little things for yourself and recognizing you're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are there, but you don't have to attach to them. That's what the mind does. The mind is a trickster. You know, a lot of times it will take you through really painful moments. And we've actually trained ourselves to do this. A lot of times, like when I was in my depressed state, I found that I would spend time watching the news, which was making me really depressed. I was hanging around depressing people, which was really bad. And I found that everything I looked at was really bringing me down. And most of the time, the depression is caused by ourselves. Now, obviously, there are some medical conditions where you do need medication, but I'm referring to the majority of cases that don't need medication. Just try this approach, you know? Like start changing what you're reading. Start changing who you're listening to. Start watching, like, you know, people that inspire you, like motivational speeches. You know, maybe you have somebody, like for me, it's Sadhguru. He's my guru. Like, I'm just like, I love that guy. Like, I'm like, wow, you know, when he talks, I'm just like wow, this is like amazing stuff, you know. Well, whoever it is for you, I mean, there's somebody for everyone. I would say that just start like and then engage in prayer, like recognizing that, you know, there's somebody out there that loves you so much, that created you, and you have a reason. You're not here for to take up space. That I don't even know you, but I love you. And that's honest. Like, you feel that because that is true. Like, that's who I am, and that's who you are. So it's just about stepping into that love and feeling that love, and just recognizing that those thoughts, those feelings are not you. That you are more than that. That you have a desire to live. That whole plug your nose test is real. Like, you are here for a reason, and you are here to overcome your depression so that you can inspire other people. Like, wow, look at me. I was on the bridge. I was about to off myself, but I didn't. I chose life. You know what? There was something that was said, and I knew that I had a purpose. Because you know what? If you wanted to do it, you would have done it already. There is something in you that wants to live, that wants to give back, that knows you have wisdom to share. You are here because you have a purpose. You have a reason. There is something inside of you that wants to live. There is something that you actually care so much about. What is that one thing? What is that one thing that you care so much about? Do that one thing and do nothing else. Find what makes you, that brings you that sense of passion, that urgency. Maybe it's like, you know, right now, there's a lot of stuff going on where we're hearing about a lot of negative atrocities. People are, you know, hurting each other. They're hurting themselves. You want to be that change. There is something inside of you that wants to do something bigger than yourself. Get outside of your head and into your heart. Start reaching out to people and helping them. Because I guarantee, as bad as things are for you right now with your depression, somebody out there that you know is going through something even worse. Just take that one moment to call them, to see how they're doing, to start being the love to serve. You know, you have it in you. There is something inside of you that is listening to this message right now for a reason, because you are being spared. We love you. You are loved, and you have a reason for living. and just find that reason and share it, my friend. And reach out to me. You know what? You can reach out to me. Go to Cynthia360.com. I am here for you, my friends. I love you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for this valuable knowledge you shared. And I hope the people who are watching this, they enjoyed a lot, and you transform very good energy in ourselves. So thank you so much for joining. Inshallah, we will conduct more session with you. So have a good day, and it's a good morning for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Allah Hafiz, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed a lot. So keep supporting us and keep motivating us.